No, there's no Hazel here. No, you must have the wrong number. This is the Baker residence.
For some brandy with your coffee, Professor?
Oh, no, thank you. I shouldn't have had the wine. I shouldn't even be here at all.
Where should you be?
In my office at the university, typing up my notes.
Then I've been helpful.
Oh, very. Particularly about the housewife. Automation affording her more leisure time. And you really think that this tends to raise the crime rate?
For Satan finds some mischief still for idle hands to do.
Isaac Watts. 1674, 1748.
What do you do with yours?
My what?
Your idle hand.
Well, my hands are never idle. My schedule won't permit it. Study, lectures, papers, calisthenics.
How tragic. What is it, Henry?
Office on car phone.
Well, take the message.
I did, boss. Housewife dead in shower.
Well, it looks like our evening has come to a sudden end.
Yeah, it's just like our housewife.
When is our next lesson?
I don't know, teacher, but I'll start shopping for an apple.
It's Burke's Law.
She was drowned in the shower.
What have you got?
I'm not sure, Amos. Maybe she stepped on a soap and hit her head. She's got a scalp wound. She fell on the drain and the shower filled up.
Who found her?
Her husband. The firemen did all they could.
You can have them remove the body now.
I'll get a report to you in the morning.
Mr. Baker, this is Captain Burke, head of homicide.
I'm sorry about this, Mr. Baker. When did you find her?
When I came home from the office.
What time did you come home?
6:30. I took the freeway. I heard the shower running, and I went in, and there she was, all doubled up under the water. I pulled her out, and she wasn't breathing. So I went to the kitchen, and I called the fire department. I gave her artificial respiration, but when they arrived, it was too late.
Did your wife have a job?
No, sir. Molly was my wife.
Any children?
Just Molly and me. You see, she was younger than I, but it didn't matter. We didn't need anybody. Molly used to always say, Carl, I don't need anybody but you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Where's Les?
Right here. I was looking around.
You know, I thought we had an agreement that I wasn't to be called away from my dinner except in cases of train wreck, treason, and murder. A housewife slips on a cake of soap in the shower, bangs her head, and drowns. I'm sure you boys can handle an accident case without calling your old captain.
I called you.
Why? You suspect foul play here? Some little voice of inner experience?
Les, how could it be murder? A sweet little housewife in a rose-covered cottage, a nice husband on the freeway.
The inner voice of inexperience. Argue it out amongst yourself. I've got a late date.
Then we didn't ruin your evening?
No, luckily I had a spare. Well, the smiling lieutenant. You're late. My social life. That's why I'm here. It's a mad, giddy world, sunshine. I doubt that you'd have the disposition for it.
You used to be one of those amateur tennis champions, didn't you?
Only in mixed doubles. Why?
Well, we've had 5 burglaries in the Beverly Wood Hotel in as many weeks. And I got an idea that the finger is the tennis pro there. A guy named,
Bucky Martin, yes, I know. He has a very big serve.
Never mind his serve. What about his character?
Well, we have something in common. We both drive a Rolls.
Tennis pro with a Rolls Royce? How can he afford that?
You know, I've often wondered about that. I ought to talk to him.
Yeah. I think you should. And as far as my disposition is concerned, I have 4 teenage daughters.
Captain, how was your spare?
Turned out to be a strike, and yours?
Complicated. Say, since we're not too busy, I was wondering if I could have the afternoon off.
The umpire's daughter?
Yeah, she finally found a house out in the valley. It's a very nice place, and we can see it this afternoon.
Don't leave. You'll see this coroner's report. A little housewife in a rose-covered cottage.
What's it say about her?
She didn't drown. She was strangled.
Tim, let that be a lesson to you. Never argue with the inner voice of experience. Burke's Law. How long have you known this umpire's daughter?
I met her on New Year's. She's honest like her father. She calls him when she sees him. I'd like you to meet her.
I'd like to sometime, but not today.
Yes.
I'm Captain Burke of Homicide.
Oh, do come in.
Detective Tilson, Sergeant Hart.
Yes. And I'm Mrs. Tribble from across the street. I suppose you've come to see Mr. Baker.
Yes. Is he at home?
Poor thing, he's taking it so hard. He's at the cemetery making the arrangements. Personally, I believe in cremation. I have it in my will. For Buster, too.
Buster?
Oh, my parakeet. Isn't that right, Buster?
Anybody got a match?
Don't laugh at him. He's such a smart aleck, but he's all I have.
Do you live alone, Mrs. Tribble?
Yes. Yes. And I'm a widow. And I haven't minded being alone until this terrible thing.
Did you know Mrs. Baker very well?
Well, I hate to say this, but she wasn't very friendly. Well, heaven knows, I tried from the very first day they moved in.
I see.
Oh, it's the police car.
Yes, I know. Captain Kirk, isn't it?
Burke.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just returned from the cemetery.
Anybody got a match?
Never mind, Buster.
Perhaps Buster wants to go home.
Oh, but he likes to visit. Well, maybe he should. Now, I did the kitchen for you, Carl. And don't forget, if you need me, I'm right across the street.
Yes, Captain, what can I do?
Last night you said that you got home from work at about 6:30.
Okay.
Then you worked till 6.
Yes.
Now, was that the case yesterday?
No, till later. I had an important report to get out for our president, Mr. Carruthers.
But you came directly home.
Yes, out the freeway.
Then you turned this report in before you left.
Oh, I gave it to my secretary to retype. What is this? Why all these questions?
Hi, Amos. Hello, George. Start in the bedroom and bath. Prints, shoes, and clothes, the works. Boys?
Who are they?
Scientific Investigation Division.
But why?
I regret to tell you this, Mr. Baker, but your wife's death was no accident. She was murdered.
My Molly? That's a lie.
Not according to the autopsy. She was strangled.
I don't believe it. You're wasting your time, Captain. She was not murdered.
Mr. Baker, when a doctor at the coroner's office does an autopsy, they look for a little bone in the throat, in the larynx. It's a test that always works. If this bone is ruptured, then it's strangulation, and that's the way it was in this case. So if you get out on that freeway, don't go too far until we get back to you. Sergeant, tell me something. Could you be happy in a little rose-covered cottage?
Well, with you, Captain, anywhere. But with all your loot, why make such a sacrifice?
Shape up, Sergeant. You're on duty.
Aye, aye, sir. Sergeant Ames on duty, sir.
All right. Answer the question.
Would I be happy in a rose-covered cottage?
Would you be happy?
After 2 years on the police force, you have to be kidding.
Alas, the gory excitement has spoiled you for the finer things in life. Well?
Baker's alibi stands up. Secretary says he was there all day, left a little after 6, like he said.
What about her charity work at the hospital?
She started about 3 years ago, and she worked every day for about 2 months. And then she started skipping. And the last year, she's only been there 8 times. So she must have some other charity.
Evidently.
There's a lady outside, but I'm not sure you're ready for it. I wasn't.
Mr. Baker did not kill his wife. On top of his grief, now he has to worry about your suspicions. If anybody killed her, it was that other man.
What other man?
What, the delivery man, right after Molly got home.
What time was that?
5:30. Well, you see, Buster was taking his bath. Oh, he's so dainty and particular about himself. And I was in my garden. Then I saw this man getting out of his truck.
All right. Describe him.
Oh, well, I can't, because, you see, he had all those boxes, and the top one was right in front of his face.
What did it say on the truck?
Well, I didn't notice. Oh, but it was just one of those plain trucks. You know, the kind that goes in front of you on the freeway when you're in a hurry.
A panel truck?
Well, yeah, I guess maybe so.
What color was it?
Gray. Or maybe blue. Well, it wasn't red, because I like red, and so does Buster. You know that Buster saves all his red seeds for dessert.
Didn't you see him when he went out?
Oh, he never goes out alone, just flies around the kitchen.
Oh, no, I mean the delivery man. Did you see him when he went out?
No, because, you see, well, he had all those boxes in front of his face.
How long was he in there?
Oh, not very long, but long enough to kill her.
Now, why didn't you tell us this before?
Well, you were so anxious to get rid of Buster that I didn't have a chance.
All right. My apologies to Buster.
Oh, well, I'll tell him. And please stop badgering Mr. Baker. Oh, I have to go now. He's in the car.
Mr. Baker.
No, Buster. If I leave him alone too long, he gets so insulting. Honey.
Hey, dingbat.
See what I mean, Captain?
With our usual thoroughness and high degree of efficiency, the Scientific Investigation Division has come up with a definite clue in the Molly Baker case. Long blonde hairs.
Long blonde hairs.
From 4 dresses owned by Molly Baker who had short black hair. A microscopic examination disclosed vestiges of glue at the ends of these hairs. Does that suggest anything to you?
A wig.
Aha! Oh. Fact 2. There was no wig anywhere in the Baker house. Therefore, it must obviously be somewhere else. And with that, I shall return to my Bunsen burner on which I am heating my lunch.
He needs a vacation.
So do I.
How do you look for a wig?
How do you look for a wig? Sergeant, didn't you have a wig?
Well, I did have, but I lost it at our office party.
No, let's not go into that. Where did you purchase it?
Mr. Clarence, the Hollywood wig man.
Look, lots of girls wear wigs today, so what's that going to prove?
Nothing, maybe?
It could.
I know how I lost it.
Go on, Les.
My guess is when she changed her hair, she changed her name. She was leading a double life.
That sweet little woman.
For Satan finds a mischief still, for idle hands to do.
How's that, sir?
For Satan find... Never mind. Just cherchez la wig. as I could.
I knew you would. The Hollywood wig maker made 12 of those wigs for last year's Ice Follies. So we went out there. He had 11 of them on hand. One of them was stolen by a skater. She is now a stripper in there behind that door.
Your old captain will investigate.
It's my Christmas present for you.
Thank you, thank you. Let him look, but don't let him touch. We have a responsibility to his mother.
So, come in.
So what do you want?
I'm looking for a girl who used to skate in the Ice Follies.
Cleo, there's a fella here. Hi. Well, you're not the boss's brother.
No, I'm Captain Bud.
You a cop or something? Cop? Has the place been raided again?
Relax, girls. All I want to do is ask this young lady a few questions.
Now, just a minute. Sure, I danced with a python, but never in the city limits.
And why not?
Dancing with a snake within the corporate limits of this crummy city is distinctly and specifically against the crummy law. He knows that. He's just putting you on. Get lost.
When did you dance with a snake?
In the Tules, West Covina, Azusa, San Bernardino, places like that. That's what hung me up. You can see that, can't you?
From a distance.
Maybe you haven't noticed, but it's cold at night in Southern California. How would you like to drive in from Whittier with a shivering python in your lap?
Well, I can think of a lot better way to spend my nights, I suppose.
You know, once I got a ticket, you should have seen this cop's face. The judge said something had to give, so I put the python out to board and I went into group therapy.
Oh, what was your problem?
Man, what else? He said I had an overabundance of warm emotions. So where do I wind up? In the Ice Follies. Goldilocks in a blonde wig.
This brings me to why I'm here. I want to know what happened to that blonde wig you stole from the Ice Follies.
After all these months, they want their wig back? Oh, that cheap outfit. Well, I haven't got it.
Well, who has it?
Oh, I gave it to the swinger who lives in the apartment down the hall from me.
What's her name?
Myra Bemis.
Myra Bemis. Where do you live?
1047 Kelly Street, apartment 7. She's in apartment 9, the penthouse. Hey, you gonna arrest me or something?
Oh, no, I just want the wig.
Watch it, girls. There's a juvenile in the balcony with a slingshot. You're on next, Cleo.
Well, tell Myra hello for me. When Buster died, she was a real friend in need, believe me.
Buster?
The python. Day before yesterday. Funeral's tomorrow. Oh, what a production. Did you ever go shopping for a coffin 6 inches wide and 13 feet long?
Not as I can remember, no.
We finally had to settle for a fire hose. Stuffing him into it was something else. Well, I gotta go now. My beady-eyed public's waiting.
Well, keep your powder dry, girls.
You can watch from the wings if you want to, but sideways you lose the whole effect.
Did you get her phone number?
No, just her address. I need a photograph of Molly Baker. I should have thought of it when we were out there. Now we'll have to go back and get it. Unless you have one on you. All right, you've gone this far, you might as well go the whole way. Go see the lady. 1047 Kelly.
You know, that's the first time I ever saw Myra with her own hair. She wore a blonde wig. Why? I can't imagine. It made her look so bushy. I used to always say, Myra, Bemis, you are wig to wear a wig.
And this was her apartment?
That's right, number 9. And that's another mystery. You know, the rent on this penthouse doesn't come cheap. And yet she never spent the night here.
To each his own, so long as the rent's paid.
Thank you, Miss Halsey.
Anytime, Sergeant. Anytime at all.
Some home away from home, huh?
Yeah. We better get George out here.
Yeah. Sergeant, this is Les Hart. Get George and the lab boys out to 1047 Kelly Street, right away. Apartment 9. Right.
They match, but what was our little housewife doing here?
I doubt if she was pruning roses.
Myra? Who are you and what's this all about?
I'm Detective Tilson. This is Sergeant Hart.
You're the police?
That's right.
What are you doing? Take your hands off me.
All right, now. Who are you?
Where is Myra and what's this all about?
Let me have your license.
I fail to see why
Either here at headquarters.
Dr. Stuart Alexander, San Francisco. All right, doctor, let's have it. What is Myra Bemis to you?
She's my patient.
Dr. Alexander's the leading heart specialist on the West Coast.
I am.
I'd like to know where my patient Myra Bemis is.
She's dead.
Myra's dead? How?
Murdered.
Murdered? By whom?
When did you see her last?
Yesterday afternoon around 4 o'clock.
Where?
Right
You sure
here.
it wasn't in the valley around 6 o'clock?
I was having my dinner in my room at the Eden Hotel at 6 o'clock.
We can check room service.
By all means do. In the valley? What would Myra be doing in the valley?
Taking a shower. When did you first meet her?
Well, originally, I met her 6 months ago. I met her at the bar in the Eden Hotel. We had a drink, and then she took me for a drive. We rolled down the top of the car, and we rode along the beach. It was delightful. But I had to leave. You see, I operate very early in the morning, 6 o'clock, and I must have 10 hours sleep. It's a rule I set for myself, and I've never deviated from it.
When did you see her again?
I saw her the next afternoon. I stayed a few extra hours. I fell in love with her. Does that seem strange to you? It did to me.
She was very pretty.
And glamorous. But what was more strange, she fell in love with me. Stuart Alexander, a doctor, 61 years old, a wife for 35 years, a home in the suburbs, a solid practice.
Now, you said you met her about 6 months ago. What happened then?
Well, I accepted more operations down here.
And rented her this apartment?
Oh, no. Myra wouldn't accept gifts of any kind.
Now, let me get something straight. You only met her in the afternoons?
Well, I operated every morning.
Well, then what are you doing here tonight?
Well, I'm afraid I got desperate. You see, there was this other man.
What man?
The one who wanted to marry her. I can understand Myra. She was 25, and he had good prospects. She didn't love him, but everyone wants security.
And he was going to give it to her?
Yes. She knew I couldn't get a divorce, but I could give her a small income. So this week I gave her $100,000.
In cash?
Well, I thought it was the only discreet way to do it.
Doctor, this home of yours in the suburbs, is it rose-covered?
Oh, yes. My wife loves roses and trellises. Why?
So did Myra. Except her name isn't Myra, it's Molly Baker, and she lives with her husband, Carl Baker, at 517 Veronica Street in the San Fernando Valley.
What?
Is this her picture?
Yes, that's Myra. She's married?
Yep.
The appeal of the unknown, the exotic. We're not satisfied with what we have.
She was bored with roses, too.
A little housewife in a rose-covered cottage. Oh, gentlemen, I have to get home to my wife. Do you mind?
Now, go ahead. If we hear anything about your money, we'll call you.
Thank you.
How was she going to explain $100,000 to her husband?
Obviously not, any more than she was going to tell him about that convertible.
What convertible?
Well, she rode the doctor around in with the top down. Garage downstairs.
What have you got?
The wig in the bedroom. Why don't you check it out?
I don't understand any of this. It's the same girl?
As I suspected, she was leading a double life.
I see. Which I shall prove with her fingerprints. All right, boys, let's start dusting.
As advertised.
Mary Brown, 1228 Devon Street, Hollywood. Molly Baker, Myra Bemis, Mary Brown, all with initials MB. She was a real triple threat.
We better tell the captain.
Yeah. What do you think about all this?
Well, I think for a sweet little housewife in a rose-covered cottage, she swung like a circus trapeze.
Mary Brown. I never did believe that was her real name. You know, there's something kooky about that girl. She's never in this apartment more than 2 or 3 days a week.
Did you have any visitors?
Who looks? What'd she do? What kind of trouble's she in?
She's out of it now. Is there a garage in the building?
No, street parking.
Thank you.
It's nothing.
I like my landladies old and grumpy. Then you know they're a landlady.
It's locked.
Look behind it. Pull it back from the wall.
How'd you know that trick?
Sergeant Patrick O'Shaughnessy, God rest his soul.
No clothes in the closet. Dress is empty. But here we have a phonograph complete with a set of language lessons. She's studying French.
Travel folders. Nice, Cannes, Monte Carlo.
Adds up to a trip.
There's some bank books. Senor Juan Ruiz, divorce lawyer, Chihuahua, Mexico.
10, 10, and 10. $30,000.
The little housewife. That's funny.
Hey, look, a map and some money. All 20s. Looks like about 10 or 15,000.
That's even funnier.
So is this?
What's that?
Funny money.
Cheating an old man and other public. Doesn't seem possible.
Treasury Department.
Apartments? A doctor? Counterfeit money? Oh, it's too incredible.
We didn't want to tell you at the funeral.
I can't believe it. I won't believe it.
Mr. Baker, Mr. Taggart is with the Treasury Department. He's a T-man.
There's no mistake, Mr. Baker. For the past 3 years, these bills have been passed all over Southern California. Now, here's our map showing exactly where the bills turned up. And this is the map that was found with the money. It's her record. And you'll see the various cities circled and dated. Both of these maps correspond exactly.
But how do you know it's Molly?
We found the fingerprints on the box.
She worked with a man by the name of Gator. We apprehended him about a month ago. He's in the federal building next door awaiting trial. This morning, he identified her picture. Now, where's the $30,000, Mr. Baker?
What $30,000?
She had $10,000 in 3 separate bank accounts. $30,000, and it was drawn out yesterday.
Plus $100,000 she had from Dr. Alexander. Now, where is that?
She couldn't have had money like that. We lived in a little house together. I've seen it. We knew everything about each other. I mean, I thought we did.
All right, you can go now, Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Thanks for the help, Bob.
Anytime, Amos.
If we ever take any wooden dollars, I'll call you.
Thanks.
He killed her.
Baker?
Yeah, big act, phony as that money.
And what was his motive, may I ask?
Look, who did we run into at the funeral? 25 little leaguers and their parents. Now, what was he doing working with kids when he had none of his own?
He likes baseball.
He likes votes.
He likes votes.
Yeah, votes. And who else was there? Mr. Happy O'Connor, the committeeman. And what did he tell me? That our hero, Carl Baker's running for city council at the next election. Now, how's that for a motive?
Les, I still don't get it.
Look, if he's going into politics, a wife like that could ruin him before he ever got started. But if she has a little accident, he winds up with tea and sympathy and smelling like a rose-covered cottage.
He was at his office. He has an alibi.
Oh, any alibi can be broken down. I say Baker was the one that drove that panel truck up there with a box in front of his face.
That old inner voice of experience. Choke it off, will you? I've had a rough day.
Oh. And I suppose you're ready for a little romp in your rolls.
Yes, that's exactly what I had in mind.
Okay, another one of the unsolved files.
What's he got up his nose?
A rose. What's up yours?
We've been tailing your friend, the tennis pro. He's in Beverly Hills with a dame. Could be she's the burglar.
Look, this is homicide, not the vice squad.
Well, maybe she's one of your social set.
All right, what's her name?
Madge Berkeley. And what an oddball. The landlady tells me she pays the rent, but she's never there at night.
Madge Berkeley. MB. Sergeant, if a baby voice phones, will you tell her that I'll be delayed for about an hour? All right, let's go.
Where are we going?
To visit your oddball.
You want me to go along?
No, you stay here and smooth your partner's feathers.
And let me remind you of something. In that Chalmers case a year ago, the chauffeur had an alibi and he wound up in the gas chamber.
Les, you check that alibi yourself.
So I made a mistake.
Sergeant, you're giving me an earache.
Baker worked something on us. I can feel it right here.
Les, you saw Baker at the funeral. He was pretty emotional.
Well, so was everybody else. All that sad sentiment and birds singing on that phony soundtrack.
Soundtrack?
Now, don't tell me there's something you don't know. The music and bird songs are always on tape.
Well, that sounded pretty real to me.
Hey, wait a minute. Sound effects on tape. Maybe that does it. Yeah, come on. We're going to explode that alibi right in our dear captain's face.
Miss Berkeley, she liked to be called. Never Madge or Honey, always Miss Berkeley. Real locked-it-up. And this is her apartment. Frankly, I've been expecting you.
The police? What?
I majored in hotel management at Cornell. And Miss Berkeley fits all the norms for the unsuccessful tenant.
I don't like landladies like that.
You like them old and grumpy so that you can tell they're landladies.
Well, at least you know where you are. You know? How do you suppose that happened?
I don't know, but it just happened. Bucky Martin.
Hello, Amos.
What are you doing in there, stringing a racket?
Come on, get out of there.
Tell him to cut it out, will you, Amos?
Cut it out. Get over there and sit down. Sit down. And don't start nothing.
See, I can't do a thing with him. He hates burglars.
Burglars? What do you mean, burglars? Amos, tell him I'm a tennis pro.
He's a tennis pro.
Oh, he's a pro, all right. While he's teaching those women how to play tennis, that Madge sneaks in and snatches the jewelry. And why are you here? To get the necklace she snatched from that old dame from Houston.
I want a lawyer.
You better get a good one.
Why?
Because Tuesday night you parked a truck in front of Madge Berkeley's house out in the valley. You walked in, demanded the necklace. She didn't give it to you, so you...
What do you mean, Valley? Madge lives right here.
Madge Berkeley's real name was Molly Baker. She lived in the valley with a husband.
Husband? She's married?
That's right. She was. Not anymore. She's been murdered.
And you're the prime suspect.
Now, wait a minute. I'm no murderer.
He's a tennis pro. When did you see her last?
A couple of days ago. Last Monday. It rained all day, so I couldn't give any tennis lessons.
Ah, that's the day they planned it, because the necklace was snatched on Tuesday. All right, where is it?
It could be in the fish tank. His sleeve's wet.
No, it's not there. She took it.
Where were you Tuesday night between 5 and 6 o'clock?
I was in the courts at the Beverly Woods. I had lessons all day. I was there until 7 o'clock, under the lights, and I can prove that.
You'll have to. All right, it's all your sunshine.
All right, let's go.
Not Molly again.
Molly, last initial B.
What is she, a gang?
What are all these men for?
They're on our side. Fingerprint experts.
Oh, well, this does it. Out she goes. She in that radio truck.
Truck.
In her stall, last 2 days.
Panel truck.
I guess that's what it's called.
Show me.
Okay, boys, I know it's getting monotonous, but once more.
Slip into these.
It's in number 2, and I wish you'd get it out. It's gone. Well, it was here just before you came.
Well, that's the way it's been all day.
I hope the rest of it turns out better.
I'm not sure it will. I have a funeral to go to.
Oh, that's too bad. A relative?
A python named Buster.
I didn't know him, but if you liked him, he must have been real swell.
Yeah, real swell. I'll tell you something, Cleo. When I first came to Stripsville, I thought you was real mercenary. But after seeing all this, you've won a valued place in my heart.
Okay, funeral over. Thanks, girls. It was sweet of you to turn out. I mean, wearing black and all.
Goodbye, Buster. He shuffled off this mortal coil. Very appropriate.
What else? He's a python. Oh, Mr. Hoffmeyer. This is Captain Burke, Mr. Hoffmeyer. He's the boss here.
The slumber manager. Well, I must say the headstone turned out beautifully, don't you think? It catches the afternoon sun at the end of a perfect day.
Cocktail hour. That was Buster's favorite hour.
Buster was a boozer?
That's what did it. His liver became enlarged and went kerflooey.
Our mortician said it was 5 feet long.
It's enough to kill a horse.
At any event, his troubles are over, and now he'll have perpetual care.
And perpetual care doesn't come cheap, Amos.
Oh, but I think you did right in selecting the horizontal burial.
Oh, he'd never be comfortable standing up. Why, he couldn't get any sleep, and neither would I just thinking about it.
Yes, of course. And now I will leave you with your memories.
I think we were just about to leave.
Yeah, cocktail time.
Goodbye, Buster.
Oh, and thank you for taking off your hat. It was very considerate.
Another Buster.
Must be a bird.
Yes, a parakeet, one of our urn burials after cremation. A touching case. His loved one had him put to sleep. She's leaving for the French Riviera.
That sturdy pool.
I must say he was gallant. Just before the end he said, "Anybody got a match?"
What did you say the loved owner's name was?
Mrs. Tribble from the San Fernando Valley.
That explains it.
That could explain a lot. Goodbye, Mr. Hoffmeyer.
Peace.
At any price.
Boss, phone call in Rolls. Sergeant Hart says for you to meet him at Rose-Covered Cottage.
Why?
He's gonna make you eat your words.
But you're taking me to dinner.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cleo. I'm going to have to send you back to Stripsville in a barge. All right, let's have the words. Make me eat 'em.
I didn't do it, Captain Burke.
His secretary said he was typing a report at the time of the murder. The door was locked, and she could hear the typewriter going. 6 o'clock, he came out with a rough draft and gave it to her to type up. Is that right, Tim?
That's what she said?
Well, this is what really happened. At 4 o'clock, he went into his office, locked the door, and started this machine. 2 hours of typing on tape. That's what his secretary heard while he went out the side door, drove to where he had this panel truck stashed, and then drove on home. And he went in and killed her. And he stashed a panel truck someplace while he came back to the office, went in through the side door, and turned this thing off. At 6 o'clock, he came out and gave the report to his secretary, and then he went home with this machine and his briefcase. You know the rest. When he got home, he found his wife dead and phoned the fire department. Now, I'll get you a knife and fork, and you can start eating.
Is that how it happened, Mr. Baker?
But I didn't kill her. I planned it, yes, just like he said. But when I got here, I just couldn't do it. So I picked up the boxes and went out again.
Do you expect the jury to believe that?
2 hours ago, you picked up the truck in Beverly Hills. Where'd you put it?
Oh, the airport, Burbank.
And then you took a cab back to your car.
Yes, but I didn't kill her. I loved her. It was just Molly and me.
Captain Burke and his merry men. Forgive me, I didn't know that you were here.
Oh, no. Come in, Mrs. Tribble.
I just stopped over to say goodbye to poor Carl.
Goodbye. Where are you going?
Well, it's my cousin, Letitia Walker. Hasn't been at all well. Lives in Toledo, Ohio. Carl, I was wondering, could you pay my gardener? You know, the Japanese never tell you where they live. They just get in their trucks and drive off with their hoses. They sleep in Tokyo, for all I know. Could you do that, Carl?
I'm afraid he can't, Mrs. Tribble. He'll be in jail for murder. We've got him cold.
Cold? You do? Carl, then it was you behind those boxes.
You thought it was him all the time?
But I couldn't be sure without seeing his face. Good heavens, Carl, how awful of you.
Les, why don't you see that your man gets dressed?
I didn't do it.
That's what they all say. At least that's been my experience.
Well, that takes care of the gardener. Oh, I can ask Mrs. Gordon across the street. Well, I just hate to leave on this terrible note, but I've already called a taxi.
No, Mrs. Tribble, why don't you stay? You see, there are other crimes involved in this case.
Really?
Oh, yes. Burglary, extortion, counterfeiting.
Oh.
Are you familiar with any of these?
Well, no, should I be?
May I have your purse, please?
The purse?
Yes.
Now.
Now, let us sit down and be comfortable, Mrs. Tribble. What have you got, Tim?
Airline ticket.
Toledo?
London, Paris, and Nice. A letter of credit for $100,000.
Extorted from Dr. Alexander.
$40,000 in traveler's checks.
Counterfeiting. Oh, yes. Sunshine said they were stolen at the Beverlywood Hotel from a Houston woman. I'm afraid we've got you cold, too, Mrs. Tribble.
Cold? What about?
You planned the murder with Carl, didn't you?
Molly? Why, certainly not. She was my neighbor, my friend.
I thought you said she wasn't friendly.
Oh, but she was.
And you were in with Molly on the other crimes.
I don't think I want to answer that.
Oh, I think you better had to answer that, or you'll be answering to a murder charge.
Oh.
So why don't you tell us everything? Stop right from the beginning.
Well, if I have to, I suppose I have to.
You have to.
Well, the beginning was right there in Molly's kitchen. We had coffee every morning. Well, I mean, what else did we have to do? We had no excitement, not like those people in the papers.
What people?
Oh, you know, those divorcees and all those movie stars on the Riviera and the people in that jet set. And I said to Molly, oh, why couldn't we do those things? Something to break the monotony.
What things?
Oh, well, you know, go to the Riviera with those playboys and ex-kings. Oh, but how to get there? That was the problem. Then one day, I read about a jewel robbery in Palm Springs. And I said to Molly, well, why couldn't we do that? Right here. You know, all we needed was somebody in a hotel to help us. I think they call it a thumb.
Finger.
Oh, well, whichever. At any rate, I had an old tennis racket, and Molly took it down to the Beverlywood Hotel and took a lesson. And then she talked to the teacher, and you know, it was all very simple. He wanted to be a finger. We couldn't have him out here, so we rented an apartment.
Under Madge Berkeley's name?
Well, now I never could keep track. You know, we finally had 3, and it got so complicated. Oh, Molly was on such a tight schedule. She had to be home every night, you know, to put on the pork chops.
Now I've heard everything.
Oh, no, not quite. What about the counterfeit money?
Oh, well, Molly couldn't be a burglar every day, and we still needed more money. So one day I read in the paper that the T-men had arrested a counterfeiter. Well, Molly went down to the jail and told them that she was his sister. So they let her in to see him, and he told her about Mr. Gator. Well, then Molly had something to do every day, and the money just came flying in. Of course, it meant another apartment, but we still didn't have enough for the Riviera. We decided that we were going to go first class or not at all. Well, my goodness, you can't entertain an Arab prince in a boarding house, now can you?
Oh, no, that wouldn't do at all.
Well, no, of course not. So we had to get Dr. Alexander. Then that meant another apartment. Oh, but it was worth it. One drink at the bar and he was in the bag. A prisoner of love. Oh, he's a very nice man. Not greedy at all.
But Molly was.
Yes. And that was a shock. You see, I was keeping the money in my house. And then I found out that Molly was holding out $30,000 for herself. That was dishonest. And if she was going to act that way, well, I could act that way, too.
So what did you do?
Well, I wrote an anonymous letter to Carl, and I just told him everything.
And you expected Carl to kill his wife?
Well, of course. He was going into politics, and politicians can't afford any scandal, especially about their wives. He was going to run for city council. Weren't you, Carl?
Well, he's all ready. Let's go.
No, we have to take Mrs. Tribble along with us. She's part of the big picture. She just gave me a very nice confession. Oh, you've been so helpful, Mrs. Tribble.
Well, I always try to be.
Like turning off Molly's pork chops?
Well, yes, I didn't want them to burn. Pork chops, what do you mean?
Molly had put pork chops on the stove before taking a shower.
Well, when I went to the kitchen to call the fire department, the stove was off.
Just a minute. What's going on here?
You did it. You killed Molly.
She did not. Well, what are you trying to pull, Amos? It's not in her character. She's just a dingbat, not a murderer.
What about Buster, Mrs. Tribble? What did you do with him?
He's with a friend.
Oh, no, he's not. He's an Adios Restland.
What's that?
Cemetery for pets of owners who care.
Oh, I care.
No, you don't. You killed him too, Mr. Tribble, just as you killed Molly. When Carl came out too soon, you went around the back and killed her. Then you came out, you turned off the gas, and you went home.
When she was going to the Riviera without me.
What did you strike her with?
With a steam iron. One of those labor-saving kind. It does the job in half the time.
What, did you choke her?
Well, I had to be sure.
A lifetime on the force. Never, I repeat, never have I seen one like this.
Take them both, Lance.
All right, don't eat anything. Come on, both of you.
Boss, phone call enrolls. Dr. Goddard wants to have dinner at Skyview Restaurant. She has evening off.
Well, as it happens, so have I. Tell her I'll meet her at 8 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you take the night off? Get back to that umpire's daughter.
Captain, we kind of broke up. She was not as honest as I thought.
Oh? How'd you find that out?
Well, when I kissed her last night, her wig came up.
Not all girls who want rose-covered cottages are all American beauties. Burke's Law.
What you said to me last time deeply disturbed me. I couldn't sleep that night. It preyed on my mind.
Well, I'm sorry.
You think that because I'm on the faculty, I'm an unemotional, unromantic stick. Well, I'm not an unemotional, unromantic stick. I'm not a stick at all.
Well, perhaps it was the severe hairdo that threw me.
Well, it doesn't have to be severe. There, how's that?
Emotional.
I suppose you think this coat I'm wearing is too severe, too.
Oh, I don't say that clothes necessarily make the woman.
You bet. There, how's that?
Romantic.
You're on next, Miss Goddard. I bet you don't think I can sing, do you?
I'd say you're preparing me for anything.
Then wait around. I'll be off at 2 o'clock.
But your schedule at the university.
Well, I've rearranged that for more leisure time.
Satan finds some mischief still for idle hands to do.